All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Microsoft Office Hours. My name is Victoria Dean, and I am joined today by...
Hey, I'm Garrett Chandler.
And I'm Andrea Singrio. Today is February 22nd, and we are joined by PJ and James, and I'm going to let them take it from here.
Awesome. Nice to meet everybody. Give me 1 second as I pull up the presentation.
I've got it. Actually, it should be loading right now.
Excuse me.
Hey, teamwork. I like this.
Teamwork makes the dream work. I love it. Oh, Lord. Awesome. Well, hello, everybody. My name is PJ Harris. I'm a cloud solution architect here within Microsoft Education, currently doing a lot with Copilot. And I'm here alongside my buddy, my friend, my mentor, Mr. James Reed over there. What's up, man? Anyway, so today's presentation is going to be all around ensuring that you have a smooth takeoff and landing with Copilot for M365. And before we really jump into, all the different aspects of Copilot for M365, right, we got to define, what is it, right? So what makes up Copilot for M365? And that's everything that you guys see here. We have Copilots in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, Loop, OneNote, and Whiteboard. And we really want to think of this as each of these copilots all have their own superpower, right? You can go to these different copilots within these given applications to do certain tasks to really increase the productivity of you as an individual. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about some of these superpowers. So we have listed out just five. Say just five. There's so much more, but these are the five big hitters when it comes to Copilot for M365. You can summarize, rewrite, optimize information. What I mean by that, you can summarize email threads that are 20 emails long. So long the days of you having to go through each and every single one of those emails. PJ, James, can you provide an update on this? Blah, blah. You're like looking at, oh, wait, what is this email thread? I'm going to spend 2 hours reading this. And you can try to get all this context. Insert Copilot, seconds, right? You can also generate content. So that really right there really hones in on that blank page problem that I know a lot of us really experience. Say, hey, you hear boss man tell you, I need you to write a 20-page research paper, a literary analysis over something, right? Man, that's a pretty daunting task, right? So you're going to look at that page, you're like, oh, where do I even begin, right? Insert Copilot for Word. You can get quicker to the revision, the modification of an existing draft that Copilot can actually help you create. You can reference all documents that you have access to. So lots of capabilities there. Number 3 here, answering questions and helping with the research. Whenever we're told we need to skill up, I'm going to actually merge 3 and 5 here with, guidance and learning and answering questions. A lot of times we need to stay on top of things. We're in tech, we're in IT. Things are constantly changing. There's these large subjects that we need to be able to break down into sizable formats for us to be able to retain it. Copilot can help you get to that memorization aspect faster, right? The encoding aspect of learning faster. And then lastly here, converting content, which is something I use quite a bit. Taking large documents, converting it into PowerPoint presentations. So taking it from a Word document, say if you have a process that you have elaborately planned out, you need to present it to internal colleagues, and you want to make a slide deck of it. You don't have to, have Word on one side, PowerPoint on the other side, and then me try to align what are the key things I want to talk about. No, you can go straight into Copilot for PowerPoint. Tell it, hey, create this presentation referencing this Word document, and then provide any further modification from there. So lots of superpowers here, lots of ways that we can really utilize the capabilities of Copilot for M365. And I think this is a great way to segue into one of my favorite videos out there when it comes to Copilot. So give me 1 second here so I can play this short 1-minute video for you all. 1 second. Man, I am pumped. I don't know about you guys, but one of my favorite videos there, right? Um, so that's Copilot, right? I know we have our minds going 5 million different ways about the capabilities of this. I know um, if you haven't been living on a rock, this is probably a lot of familiar stuff to you. But for those of you who aren't too familiar, really look into how Copilot can be used. Now, moving into our Copilot journeys, our individual Copilot journeys in our given tenants here within education, there are multiple ways that we can go about this, right? So there are the minimum requirements that we do post in our Microsoft documentation about what is just necessary to have, what you need to have at a bare minimum in order to utilize Copilot within your tenants. But just me saying that right there should go ahead and start, like, bringing up some red flags, red alerts, like woo woo woo, right? What's going, like, is it really that simple? No. Let's also think about the optimization aspect. Bring in the security and compliance sense. How does Copilot for M365 fit within our given security and compliance posture? So think about optimizing Copilot. And whenever I'm explaining that, we have different options here within Purview, things like data classification, DLP policies, data loss prevention, as well as labeling underneath that classification part. Also utilizing Syntex, SharePoint Advanced Management. Big topic is those anyone links that are out there in the wild. Do we have any tools that we could use to gain clarity on, what's out there and how can we best protect ourselves whenever we go through and activate Copilot for the larger organization? So with that, I'm not going to get too far into the optimization. I'm going to let that be handled by my man, James. So take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, PJ. Okay, so folks, one of the things that we see over and over, we have initial consultations with customers is, what do we need to do to be prepared? And over time again, we have these conversations, and this is what sort of led into this topic, is every customer is unique. We have K-12 institutions, public, private. We have higher ed, public and private, research, health, academic medical, all ranges. The number one things that we have to start thinking about is, what is our acceptable use on AI? We have to get that defined. I've talked to several institutions and K-12 organizations waiting for guidance from the state level. What does legislative branches give us? Unfortunately, that's not going to help. The cat's already out of the bag on this. I didn't find a cool picture. I had to work real hard, and designer just didn't give me any great pictures for it, but it's already here. Microsoft released Copilot. We've got OpenAI, and we've got all the Chat GPT, Google, Apple, Samsung. Everybody is releasing all of these services. And so we need to have some sort of overview and guidance in this. This isn't something that Microsoft can give you all the answers for. It is unique to your environment and to your structure within the constraints of the type data you have. So we need to start thinking about that. If we don't have policies in place, start working on those. It's a living guiding document, because AI is just going to continue to explode and continue growing. Things that we need to consider and also include our students' age. We've had a lot of conversation on that in the chat. Students aren't all the same. We've got those that are underage. We have under the age of 18. We've got dual enrollment. We've got just minors in general. K-12 organizations have different concerns than some higher eds, but we need to weigh that out. We need to talk to our legal teams. We also need to review the types of data we have. A lot of organizations, we just are very decentralized in education, and we don't necessarily know the types of data we have. And so but it becomes more of a challenge, and we need to go ahead and start classifying what types of data do we have in the organization. And that takes a little bit of ramp up work. Now, out of the core security tasks that we need to look at, as PJ mentioned, oversharing is abundant. Older tenants that were created long ago had anyone links without expiration, and they were on by default. And it's like, whoa, this is cool. We do this in Box, we do this in other services. So, hey, well, we're going to leave this enabled in SharePoint and OneDrive. So many times we've left those in place. Now, we may have changed, put in expirations. Some organizations have removed anyone links. They've turned them off, but the existing ones may still be present. If you have anyone links and it's restricted to just inside the organization, are all of your users allowed to see all the data in your tenant? If you have students in the same tenant, are they allowed to see payroll information if someone in payroll shared data with anyone links? It's very important to remember Copilot runs as an API in context of the user themselves. So while the user may not see that file, that folder, the documentation on a day-to-day basis, if their account has access to it, it's out there. And as Dwayne just put in chat, public teams are also one of those structures we have to be very wary of. Public Office 365, Microsoft 365 groups, the same thing. That's the underlying premise under Teams. SharePoint sites, if you have teams that have too many owners, did the owners grant permissions to the SharePoint site behind the scenes? If they did, then others have access to all the data. Or is everyone aware of that? Maybe it originally started off as a very simple team or a site, but now we've got sensitive data in there. And so these are some of the challenges we have. Syntax, SharePoint Advanced tools can help with this. There are some third-party tools that have some amazing reports that can generate all your sharing links. This is something we want to start into that process. Now, does that mean you stop Copilot? No, you don't have to. But we need to start thinking about this ahead of time before it grows and it becomes overwhelming in our organization. Compliance tasks are the same thing along with that, but if there are ways to safeguard our data. With even anyone links in place, if we have sensitivity labels in place, we can restrict access to files. We can restrict access to what can happen to it, prevent it from being exfiltrated. And you're absolutely right, Chris. This is like Delve. This is Delve on steroids. This makes it even easier to go find data. Copilot, you can ask, hey, what are the top financial Excel spreadsheets do we have in our organization? If you have access to see everything, it'll bring it back. And we want to be cognizant of that. This is extremely powerful. It's useful. It's very useful. That saves a ton of our manual labor and thinking about some mundane task and just optimizes them. But it has access to a lot of things because your account may have access to it. The other things, we talked a little bit about this in the Q&A portions, retention policies. What do we need to do for retention? Typically, a lot of our state governments, when we issue mandates, we have to retain email or we have to retain certain types of data. This is a new type structure. Do we need to retain our chat correspondence or not? It's a key thing. Do we change and keep our retention for what prompts we put in? That's another key change. So these are type things to start thinking about. There's no magic answers, but these are things that when you reach out and if you have a unified agreement and your account manager reaches out and says, hey, can we talk about this? You know, this will be some of the things that PJ, myself, Dwayne, Rob, others, Nate, Elizabeth, Weston, all of us will have these conversations with you over and over. Start talking about this. And then with Copilot too, if we have sensitivity labels, remember we can have that overlay and protect our data so it doesn't get exfiltrated out by someone saying, oh, this is a cool presentation and it's non-disclosable. It's private. It's got patient data, something you may not have thought about. And we can have data loss prevention help protect that data from being able to leave the organization too. So these are some of the high level things. We have resources at the tail end. You'll see some of the links of how to get started with this. And again, we can have more conversations, but this is way important. This is why we wanted to get this out because we see this over and over again. Now, next up, I want to turn it back over to PJ, who's going to talk a little bit more about the requirements on the physical side of things.
Thanks, James. Yeah, so throughout a lot of our conversations, we definitely want to make sure that we're meeting the requirements for Copilot for M365. Working through here, so one, users need to have an M365 account, first and foremost. In addition to that, when we're thinking about these 5 applications, you can utilize the web version, the online version, or you need to be on current these 5 apps. And when we say right here, not VL installs, the VL, that stands for volume licenses. This does not include volume licenses. You need to use the click to run in these 5 installers, and you need to be on the current channel or monthly channel. So semi-annual is not included with that. In addition to that, for Outlook, you can utilize the new Outlook. I know there's a lot of fans out there. I do say that sarcastically sometimes. Also OA, but do know it is available in Classic Outlook for all of you Classic Outlook users. Right now, as of today, there's 2/3 functionality. The summarization and the coaching features are currently within Classic Outlook, but the draft feature is coming very soon, and that actually is being rolled out next month here in March. So stay tuned with that. Lots of great stuff. You need to have Teams V2 or utilize Teams Web. And then we have some optional integrations here with Loop, so enabling Copilot and Loop and Copilot and Whiteboard. And lastly is the big ticket item, right? Teams Premium, as that's caused a lot of confusion with Copilot in Teams versus Teams Premium. What do I get with each? So with this next slide here, if you guys are like me, you'll know as we keep going through here, I love visuals, I love charts, comparisons, right? Highlighting the differences between Teams Premium and Copilot for these 5. The big thing that that has caused confusion was around the intelligent recap. You do not need Teams Premium in order to use intelligent recap with Copilot for these 5. However, Teams Premium brings so much more capabilities that really it's best used together. So Teams Premium gives you and I know Dwayne can talk about this for days, but just high level talk about Teams Premium. Teams Premium, you can set up meeting templates that can be configured by your IT admins. You also get that end-to-end encryption, meeting protection, and much more here. So great graph really to reference whenever you're going through the consideration between Teams Premium and Copilot. Also, with the rebrand of Copilot, it has also caused a lot of confusion. I see a lot of smiles. So Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, that's previously Bing Chat. That's what's available in Bing, Edge, Windows. You can use Bing Chat in order to access Copilot, and all the information that you can reference is all on the internet. It's web grounded. Now, kind of moving on here with Copilot with commercial data protection, or formerly known as Bing Chat Enterprise, that is included with MD5 and OT5 A3 A5 licenses for faculty and higher ed students. It's also included for OT5 A1 licenses as well. This does, in order to utilize that commercial data protection, that license must be enabled within your tenant. And also the users need to be signing in with their Intra ID account in order for that protection to be enabled. So what I mean by the commercial data protection, that's the protection that allows the information that you put into that chat not to be used to train those larger models on the back end. And then also we have Copilot in Windows, which is a nifty little icon that's included in your taskbar where you can interact with Copilot. Oh.
Hey, PJ, hold on one second.
Yeah.
I've still got control on the slides and I've not advanced them.
Oh, I am sorry, guys. So moving up here, are we there now?
There we go. Yeah.
All right, beautiful. So, there's a whole bunch of words on the slide right here. Again, if you're like me, I love graphs, right? So it's good to see the requirements of Copilot, but it's another thing to see how it relates to each other. So here, we break each of these down, including the name changes, so you guys understand which ones correlate with each other. Bing Chat Copilot, gives you that large language model, ChatGPT, large language model in the back end, or that GPT. So, and then also the AI powered web search, answers, and content generation. Copilot includes everything with Copilot with commercial data protection. Includes everything in Copilot, but adds that commercial data protection that we were just highlighting. And then bringing on Copilot for these 5, you get much more, right? You get it integrated with your current security compliance policies. You can also utilize the MD5 graph, which is all your data, your company data. That's what provides the content and context for Copilot responses. And then also it is integrated within MD5 applications. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back off to James to jump into the change management, adoption, and success aspect of Copilot.
And I'm going to take control, although it would have been nice just to drive Dwayne crazy and say, next slide, please. But we try not to do that. So change management, adoption, and success, it is absolutely critical. So Copilot is not cheap. You know that. Copilot is an investment. It's not meant for every single user in the tenant. We realize that one day, eventually, maybe. But right now, Copilot's got a lot of power, and we need it for productivity. And the best way we're going to get the return on our investment and get success out of these licenses is we have to have adoption planning. And this is hard. Now, Copilot rolled out so rapidly. It's sort of like Teams when it originally rolled out. It came out and it hit us everywhere across the board, but we needed adoption plans. And so when we start into these adoption conversations, we don't have it all there. It's being developed. Copilot's working on it, hopefully. But we're going to see more and more published. The adoption site just got overhauled. So we just had a bunch of changes in. I think it was last week, at least that's when I noticed it started loading up. Take a look at this. This is a clickable link, by the way, and you'll have the slides. We're going to get those published out for everyone a little bit later. But take a look at this because we need to plan for our users to be successful with this. We need a champions network. We need a center of excellence published so we can have places for people to post successful prompts, use cases, scenarios, ask questions. We want to distribute this out because large organizations, it's a lot of work, and we want to have success out of this. This isn't something, we just want to arbitrarily say and see, but again, your users need to see this so they see value in return. We also have to have some metrics. Anytime we do change management in IT, we need to have some metrics to show what are we getting out of this. Now, there's some basic reporting and dashboarding out of this. There's going to be some more enhancements we're hoping in the education space. We'll talk more about that when we get more answers coming. But for right now, basic reporting is there. But we need to get feedback from our users. Early access programs did that. Will, that's on the call and can testify. We were amazed by the input we got back from our customers. We developed this. We were able to do this. This worked. This was amazingly successful. Some things not as much. And you need to learn that for your environment, your departments and divisions. Finance, HR work a totally different world than we do on our academic teaching sides. And so take a look at these concepts and start bringing this about, build this out. Different groups do it different ways. We're here to help it when needed, though. Just let us know. Again, usage reports are going to be key. These are just numbers, though. Numbers do show some value and some return. We're seeing our active users. What is our activity, producing? Are people actually using Copilot after we issue licenses? But we're not seeing the success. I can issue a prompt and a query for Copilot, but it doesn't mean that it's helping me save time, produce content, help me evolve my workflows. And so those are some of the things we have to gather back and get word of mouth and kind of correlate that back and teach others how to do that as well. All right, I'm going to hand this back off to PJ, who's going to take control and just kind of quickly run through our resources we got for you guys.
Yeah, so in the slide deck, guys, we're including some quality customer resources around M365 announcements, some videos, links to videos of things like how does Copilot work, what actually goes on in the orchestration engine on the back end, and then some specific links for IT admins out there in terms of how to prepare for Copilot, how to get started, and then also some end user support guides as well. Highlighting some of these links that we have on the bottom of the slide, the Copilot Lab. Whenever you have Copilot enabled for a user, they can go to this Copilot Lab, and it gives them a way to be able to view different prompts for the different Copilots, the different areas within those M365 apps. So you can hone in your search for prompts that you can utilize within Copilot for for example, for Word, and see what help spark some ideas of how they can best utilize that within the application. Also, link to some updates as well as the M365 roadmap specifically for Copilot. We also included some more here around the introduction, some links around defining the value of Copilot, the security in Copilot, as well as getting set up. But the big one here on this slide is all around the end user adoption resources. We recently updated the adoption site, so definitely take a peek into that. You can find the user onboarding toolkit that you can use to share out, send out to your pilot groups, to your larger groups whenever you're enabling Copilot within your environment to help spark that adoption. Also highlighting that there is upcoming training next week on February 28th and 29th, the Copilot for MD5 Tech Accelerator, tell you everything you need to know about Copilot for MD5. So definitely try to carve out some time to attend this training. Some more Copilot reference links, specifically for Copilot for MD5, updates, education-specific prompts, and lastly here, some purview compliance related training as well, as this is a very big topic in terms of optimizing that experience again. In addition to all that, you can also utilize CSAs through these value-based deliveries. So we have workshops, pilot activation, optimization, and what these are intended to really do is to help with the education aspect, as well as help streamline rolling out Copilot within MD5. So that's where you can get people like myself, James, anybody that Dwayne, anybody within Microsoft Education to help you guys out with your Copilot enablement. So definitely connect with your account teams, see if this is beneficial for you guys. And with that, that concludes today's presentation. Do we have any questions?
Awesome. Thanks so much, y'all, for all the information. I don't see any questions coming up yet, unless I'm missing it. Garrett, do you see any?
I was going to say thank you for everyone answering questions. We had Dwayne and Garrett and everyone tossing in, Shirok's tossing in some links. This is, great information. We know it's a lot to take in to get started, but sometimes this hopefully helps.
Alan, I can work
Yes.
on that. I'll work with
Yep.
James and team to make sure that we can get the link posted for you.
And
Daniel knows that. Go ahead, James.
I was going to say, yeah, we'll get Alan, we'll get a version posted, and we need to run it through accessibility checking a couple more times, make sure we're clean on that front, but we'll get it over to Andrea and Garrett folks to get that published. And then there is no minimum required, so you can go in with a low number. So that's one of the ways, and Will called this out actually earlier for us, and I do want to mention this, and thanks to Will for this. If you go sign up for workshop, if you want to get a delivery done with us, go ahead and get some licenses assigned for the people who are going to attend it. It's better to go ahead and get them situated, get them access early on, and get a better return for your investment.
So smart. Oh, I like Dwayne's advice as well. Don't license all your IT people first. License the business. I'm going to give you my 2 cents as I start working with our ISV customers. I'm like, please give it to your EAs. Please give it to your people that are on calls all day long, or scheduling for you, or doing a lot of management of stuff, as well as your leaders. But I think that group is really where they're going to see the best use of that productivity tool. So I would definitely, exec admins are my number one thing that I think people tend to forget, and this would be one heck of a tool for them.
Yeah, and I'll even say too, if you look at it from a business group perspective, don't just license one person from HR or one person from finance. Get a couple of people from those business groups, because there's also something about collaborating, right? Everyone's going to use Copilot just a little bit differently, and the IT folks are going to use Copilot completely different than the exec admins. And so you want to find people who are similarly, or have those jobs or roles that are similar to each other, so they can share and learn new ways to interact with Copilot. So don't just do one from each group, but get a couple from each group.
Tyler, got a hand up.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I just had a
Absolutely.
quick question. With this release of Copilot, will we be able to train Copilot on our enterprise data?
So
Yes.
this is really more focused on the Copilot that's going to be learning out of your large language model off of the data within SharePoint OneDrive. Now, on your enterprise data that may be in the Azure space or your large storage containers, Azure Lake, Data Lake, stuff like that, you're going to have the more of the Azure AI components to pull in. Now, with Copilot Studio, you can do connections into other storage components. As long as the connectors are there, it'll natively connect in and you'll be able to integrate. There may be a need to have custom connectors put out there for it. Depending on the use case, though, again, we've got expertise that can help with that if needed.
But anything on the Microsoft 365 platform can be used for training data?
Correct. For within the M365 Copilot components and with the data protection.
And
And
to
only
expand on that,
because-
it doesn't train the large language model.
Thank you.
Yes.
So we are not using your prompts and your queries and your data to advance the LLM itself. The graph is kind of layered on top of the large language model. And so it's an augmentation approach. So when you search for data that's connected to you, we're gonna surface documents that you've recently worked with or relationships of people that you've worked with. That's how it's going to access that data in the graph. But those prompts are not being used to train the model.
Oh, I see. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, and even more importantly, out of even our security Copilot, none of our Copilot structures are meant to go educate the larger language model. It stays strictly within your tenant and within your protection.
All right. I am already getting pings about how great this was today. So thank you, PJ and James. This is a super exciting topic, emerging topic every week. And I think we've got Copilot, more stuff with Copilot coming up soon. So just want to say thanks, everybody, for joining us. And we will see you all next week. And Dwayne will make sure he's early for that shenanigans-foolery, just in case, us regular hosts can't seem to transition fast enough. No, we'll do our best to make sure we've got everybody here at the start. But thanks everybody for continuing the community. We had at the peak, we had over 180 people today. And so I think it's just really great that you all aren't afraid to get started without us. And that really shows how much this community really means to y'all. And so we're grateful that you even let us be a part of it most days. So, and it looks like Dwayne won't be here next week. So we will make sure we've got folks here. Victoria, it looks like you and I got to make sure somebody's here on time next week. So again, thank you all. See you next week.